What's going on, buddy? How are you?
How's that look? Does that look decent? Is that light in the back blurry?
No, it's good. It's good. We're looking fine. We can see the two Lamborghinis in the background. I think I'm hearing myself back though, Brian.
Yeah, that's my fault. I have my AirPod in, but I'm not even.
Oh, no. You good, buddy? Oh, it's not coming through the AirPods?
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Jesus.
Oh, come on. And you got the Timbo Sugar Show. You've got the Lamborghinis. You've got the bantamweight belt. And you can't even connect the AirPods?
I don't know why they're not connected. I can't believe I didn't realize they weren't connected, to be honest.
Oh, God. It's all going wrong. Thank God we're not live.
Wait, we are, right?
Yes, we are. Indeedio.
I don't know why these AirPods are not connected.
It's okay. This is
yeah, they're not
so good. So good. Take your time.
That's what happens when you go live, huh?
I know. It's just like might be the last one ever.
Yeah.
No? Oh. We got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Let's go. Live
Holy
and direct.
Shit. There we go. Nice. There we go. And it's a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, basically, not two Lamborghinis.
Oh, I've got to get it together. What a fool I am.
I know, it's okay.
Hey, Sean, obviously congrats on everything, buddy, but we got to start with this. Merab Dvalishvili put in the cut. Dana, obviously promoting this show and spending a fortune, was kind of annoyed that he even chose to put that on social media. Seeing as you're the guy that he's fighting, what's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I mean, the cut, I see Dana's point of view. It's like he just doesn't want that fight to fall out. Does Dana actually care that Merab has a cut? No, Dana probably doesn't care. Merab could lose his arm, and I don't think Dana would actually care. It's the fact that it risks the potential of the fight. That's what is the issue there with maybe the commission or something like that, not letting the fight happen. But Dana actually cared if Merab got cut. Merab's about to get cut from the UFC after this fight, let alone have a little eyebrow cut. That's the last cut he needs to worry about is his eyebrow.
Yeah. Look, listen, it's just a cut, and it didn't look like a bad cut, let's be honest,
Correct.
But, how old are you, Sean?
29.
29. So you probably grew up with social media. It's a big part of everyone's lives. He's promoting the fight. From his perspective, he's just like, this is an interesting in the day of the life type of thing. Probably didn't just think it through. The Sphere, man. How excited are you for this, Sean?
I'm very excited now that it's like, the last fight, the pay-per-view was last weekend. So now it's, it's always the next pay-per-view, what's being talked about. So now that fight's over, we got the Sphere coming up. A little annoyed-ish about the promotion of the Sphere. The Sphere's the show. I'm the one doing interviews, not the Sphere. Let's promote Sean versus Merab, the Sugar Show. I'm the one fighting. Let's go, baby. But you know what? It is what it is. The Sphere's going to be legendary. It'll be epic. It'll be cool. But, I think these next few weeks are really going to, things are still going to start coming out. ESPN will start posting. UFC will start posting. So it's going to feel big soon.
Yeah, no, listen, I kind of get your point, but you've got to look at it as a massive honor because if it is the only one that they do there and you're the guy that they chose to headline it, because with the greatest of respect to Merab, you're the champ, you're the superstar, and you're the guy that they put on the one and only Sphere event. I mean, that's an honor.
Absolutely correct. Very honored. I mean, Ilya and Max wanted this card. Conor was saying he wanted to come out of rehab to get the card, and they chose me, so I'm very honored.
What's going on with you and Conor? Because I saw you going back and forth a little bit.
I don't think anything else anymore. I think it kind of just ended there, and I'm sure he'll do a little something and start throwing out some more tweets, and they'll start back up. But so right now, I think it's just kind of at a stalemate.
Yeah, you said though that's a fight that you would welcome.
Of course, I mean of course, I think anybody in the UFC, if they got an option or opportunity to fight Conor, they would.
Would you get a Lamborghini yacht one day? I see the Lamborghini and the Ferrari. Are we working towards the yacht?
I think with that, I feel like that would cause more stress than it would cause like joy or happiness. So, I'll probably just stick to the Lamborghini car, maybe not quite the yacht. That seems a little bit too stressful, but you never know. You make so much money and then you're like, what do I do with this one? So we'll see. Yeah. Probably not though.
You got to be careful on the yachts, though. I don't know if you saw that news story that the unsinkable yacht just sank in 60 seconds. Did you see that?
No, actually, no, I didn't see that. But that brings me. Yeah, I'm not a huge water guy. Not a fan of the ocean as far as being in it or out. So yeah, the yacht's not happening.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. What do you know? What can you share? And I'm assuming it's nothing, but in terms of the production, everybody's guessing. Dana came out and said the first fight's going to be like the dawn of man. Your fight's going to be Mexico in the future. Do you have any inclination or do you know anything else but you sworn to secrecy?
I do know one thing, but I didn't think it was that crazy that they asked me not to tell, so I unfortunately can't share it.
Sure.
But it's interesting. It'll be cool. I think it'll be we'll see how it goes. It's something small, but could be really interesting. Obviously I'm going to be fighting, so and I'm talking about something on the Sphere, projected on the Sphere. So there's that, but other than that, no, I have no idea. I mean, I went and did some promotional shoot when Merab and I faced off over the Sphere. We did some different green screens and blue screens and stuff for us projected on the Sphere inside the screen. So there's some of that stuff going on, but as far as like what else is going to be on there, I'm not exactly sure.
How are you and Merab? So when you did that face off, I mean, because he seems, I've had him on the show, seems like a great guy, but how are you and Merab knowing that you're going to fight one another?
I think Merab's got little man syndrome. I don't think it helps that I've knocked out his best friend and his training partner. He hates Tim. That's very out there. He doesn't like Tim. So there's just like little beefs all over the place. At the end of the day, he's just another opponent. It's going to be another knockout highlight reel for the Sugar Show. And, I feel bad for him because he's been this close to the belt, for a long time. And he's just not going to quite get there. And it's because of me. So there's a little bit of guilt there. I'm like, man, I should just maybe – no, but yeah, I feel a little bit bad. Maybe I'll move up to 45, and I think he could take out the division. But to be honest, I think I'm gonna make him look stupid. I'm gonna make him look amateur, and I don't know how long he will be in the UFC.
And the wrestling, right? I mean, he came on my show. You might have saw the clip. He said, this is where he's going to try out his striking and he's going to knock you out, and I called him on his BS straight away. It's the wrestling that's going to be his path to victory. I saw your interview that you did with Brett Okamoto, and I kind of agree because you are tall, you are long, you are fast and accurate, you got slick footwork. I think he's going to have a hard time even getting on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lose-lose for him. Him trying to wrestle is what's going to get him knocked out, to be honest. But also, him trying to strike with me is not really going to go his way either. So it's kind of a shitty position for Merab to be in, having to fight me for the title. But again, it's like I have to show up. If I show up September 14th at the Sphere like I do, like I did against Aljo, like I did against Cheeto, I beat Merab. So, and I'm very good at showing up when the moment matters the most. I pride myself in being able to do that every time. So if I show up, when I show up, I'm gonna get the job done. I feel like I am a better athlete. I'm a better fighter. I have better IQ, and better fight IQ too. I might throw that one in there, and I'm gonna piece him up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, your rise, Sean, has been phenomenal. Right from day one, you kind of said what you were going to achieve, and you've followed through, and you've lived up to that, and lived up to the hype as well. Because that's the hard part, isn't it? The UFC see a guy like you that's marketable, but you got to be able to back it up, and you got to be able to fight. And ever since the opponents have got harder and harder, you have done that in style. I mean, the way you knocked out Aljamain, the beating on Cheeto, and if you get through Merab next, I mean, you got nothing but massive, massive options. You've got Topuria. I know you've been talking about that. There's Conor McGregor there. Of course, you were talking about Umar Nurmagomedov and that he needs to shave his unibrow.
Yeah, he should probably wax just in case, because you don't know if it'd be horrible for Merab to pull out, and then they're like, "Hey, Umar, it's your shot," and he's got the whole thing going. So I would just let him know, get it cleaned up now, just in case.
Would that be the next guy, you think? Or do you think you would look for somebody outside of your division?
It's definitely a possibility. Like the Umar fight gets me very excited. You can't tell me that Max Holloway versus the Sugar Show at 145. If Max goes out there and beats Elia, isn't a massive fight. Me versus Elia, if he goes out there and beats Max, that's a massive fight. Yeah, I like every single. I never want to have just one option. I never want it to just be like, all right. I mean, I don't want to say that actually, because if it is just one guy, that's going to be massive. But I do like having options. I do like keeping it interesting and having the fans, wonder what's next for the Sugar Show. So it is nice to be able to have options.
Absolutely. Talking of that fight, Topuria versus Max, we were just kind of debating who wins that. If you had to make a pick, which way would you lean?
I think Max gets the job done.
And still the BMF and the featherweight title.
Yeah, I mean, I heard or saw Elia say the BMF title wasn't on the line or whatever. I'm like, if you're the BMF champ and you're fighting, that thing's on the line. So Max goes out there and wins, 45, BMF champ. I move up. I beat Max. I'm the BMF, 35, 45. Go up, fight Islam. Just jokes. I'll stop there. But, yeah. No, I think – and Max to me is probably – one of the hardest, like if I'm looking at the 35 and 45 pound division, I think Max Holloway is one of the hardest opponents for me in the division. In both divisions.
He's a tough fight for anybody. Look at what he did to Justin Gaethje. Another option that you've been speaking about for some time is going into the boxing world.
Yeah.
What is the kind of plans with that?
Yeah, I feel like over the last 3 years or so, or whatever it's been, I kind of planted the seed. I said, I'm willing to go in there and box one of these guys, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, a big boxer. I would love to do that. I would love to test my boxing skills against a high level elite pro. I try to listen to the fans, the feedback, and every time I bring it up, I get a lot of hate. They're like, I've stayed on the UFC. But then I call out Ilia Topuria, and they're like, you're ducking Merab. I'm like, boxing and Ilia are, in my opinion, Merab's not an easy fight by any means. I'm not saying that. But going up to 45 and trying to fight Ilia is a very, very, very more difficult challenge. Going into the boxing world and trying to box one of these guys is more difficult. So I'm trying to just, what would be the most exciting for the fans, the hardest, the most competitive, the most exciting. If I win, holy. And they're like, no, we want Merab. So I'm here for what the fans want. They want Merab. I'll take that. If you said, hey, if you pick one fight that you think you're going to win the most percentage-wise, boxing, Ilia or Merab, I'd pick Merab. Merab's obviously my weight division. He's 5'4". He's, a good matchup for me. So I'm going to take that Merab fight, and then we'll see what happens next. I do think if I go out there and land these hands, pop, 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 bink, and win in fantastic fashion, boxing with my hands, it makes those boxing fights more interesting.
No, I think it does. Certainly if you beat Merab, let's say 1 or 2 more fights, and you do it with your hands like you always do. Yeah. I think it just kind of makes sense. I mean, when you look at Conor McGregor and what he did with Floyd Mayweather, I think, and then you look at Francis Ngannou and what he did against Tyson, granted against Anthony Joshua, it was a very different story, but still there's a narrative now that we can go over there. What do you make of this whole? Because boxers look at MMA guys and say, we can't box, which is bullshit. And I look at you can clearly box to a very, very high level. What is your response when you hear them just like kind of disregard our threat in any way?
I think, you got to look at it too. It's like, there's a little bit of insecurity in those boxers. Of course, they're going to say we can't box. That's the only thing that they can do. So for us to be able to box and whoop their ass any other way, that's not a good look for the boxers. So of course they're going to say we can't box. But most of the time they're not wrong. Not a lot of MMA guys can, straight up box to different sport. But I feel like there's a few of us that could translate and box, and make it competitive. So for the most part, they're kind of ish, right? But, there's a few of us that I think could translate over pretty well.
No, I agree. Talk to me about Tim Welch. And thank you. I've come on your show now a couple of times. Great podcast. Tim seems like a great guy. He does seem to rub some people up the wrong way. I know Merab, as an issue. He said that, he's going to get his hands on him.
Yeah.
Perillo didn't like him back in the day.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your relationship. Talk to me about the kind of the input that he has on your day-to-day fight camps.
Yeah, I mean, Tim and I have been best friends. I moved down here when I was 19. So 10 years ago, I moved down here. Never lived anywhere other than my parents' house. I got an apartment with Tim. And we kind of, I grew up with Tim basically as far as being an adult. Like I didn't know how to do laundry or the dishes or be a good roommate. So it started way back then. He was still trying to get in the UFC. He was in Bellator. He was on Fight Master. He was doing his thing, fighting. Every time I had a fight coming up, he would kind of transition into coaching. He would hold mitts and help me with my diet and stuff like that. And over the years, it just kind of got more serious about the role of coaching. And then, now obviously he's like my full-time head coach. But Tim, for me, Tim's one of the funniest. Like I can see how he rubs people the wrong way online. And like Merab's the one saying he wants to fight Tim, and Merab's 5'4", 130 pounds. Like he's a little guy. So for Tim to reply, it's a lose-lose. But for Tim, you got to reply. You're getting called out by a little guy. And so Tim's like, dude, I even said it to him, like Tim would you open a fight. And then everyone in the comments were like, oh, Tim couldn't even get in the UFC. Tim was on this. Tim was on that. Tim, lost in Bellator. Like Tim's very, very, very skilled. And he still trains competition training jiu-jitsu at a very high level. He still hits mitts. He's in there holding mitts for me. He's seeing it. He still spars. He watches. He's very in the game. So for people to say that Merab would beat up Tim in a fight is crazy. Tim got in Bellator. Tim was fighting this undefeated Russian when he was like 20 years old in Bellator. Tim didn't have the guidance that I have to say, hey, that's not a smart fight. Let's not fight this guy. What are you doing? You're 20 years old fighting this like undefeated Russian guy that's very, very dangerous. But he didn't have that guidance. So he took some bad fights, lost some fights, and his career didn't play out the way he wanted it to. But I think he's in a very good position doing what he's doing, running a very successful gym, doing, killing it on social media. He's my head coach. We got a couple guys coming up. Tommy McMillan of the Contender Series is coming up. Tim's really been helping a lot with his camp. So, Tim's in a really, really cool position right now, and I think he loves what he does.
No, that's beautiful, Sean. It really is. And I'm kind of jealous in some ways, because to go through the journey of what you're doing right now, being a fighter, and certainly somebody with your success, it's hard to know who to trust,
Yeah.
And of course, in this, it's a tough path anyway. So to go through this with somebody that you've known for so long, somebody that's in your corner, in your training camp, and also someone around that you can trust, not only with the money side of things, but probably with your life, that is so important.
Yeah, no, I've been very, very, very lucky with like the group and the team that I've kind of assembled around me. Brandon Harris, strength and conditioning coach, met him like 5-6 years ago, and just put my trust in him from the strength and conditioning aspect. Dan Garner, nutritionist, literally changed my life. You get into this sport, you want to be the best in the world, so you start doing certain things to be the best in the world in the sport. Then you realize there's certain things that you need to do just to be a happy human being, just for your mental clarity. So Dan Garner helping me with my diet, my gut health, my brain health, and all these things that after fighting, I'm still going to be using this guy, like, because it makes my life better. Same with Brandon Harris. Like, these workouts that I'm doing outside of camp aren't necessarily to prepare me for the next fight, but let's just be healthy and live a good life. And Tanquino, jiu-jitsu coach, ADCC world champion, gi world champion, one of the best to ever do it. Very, very knowledgeable and has a lot of fight experience. And then these up and coming studs. I've been having this kid Ezra Elliott in my corner, who's a young pro. I think he's 1-0 right now. Trying to get him fights is very difficult, but he's going to be in the UFC. And then Uncle Emron. Emron's completely changed my life. So everyone has just played such an important role in my life to be where I'm at right now. It'd be I don't even think I could be in this position without everyone playing their role.
Yeah. And that's great that you're so respectful and appreciative. I am interested in what you said about the nutrition. The nutrition.
Yeah.
Could you just give a little bit of just elaborate a bit further on the concepts and what he does with you? Because you really put a lot of focus on the nutrition side of things there, which of course is important. But would you mind sharing a little bit?
Yeah, no, I think cutting weight's the dumbest thing in the sport, or freaking thing.
You.
Sorry, I remember. Yeah. Cutting weight is so stupid. Like
we're live. We're getting demonetized because of the bloody champ.
Oh, no. Send you 20. I'll Venmo you 20. No, I think Merab probably weighs 155, 156. I weigh 156, 156. Like we weigh around the same weight, but on that night but the way I look at it, it's like we have to cut weight. No matter what, we got to cut weight. So I want to do it. I wanted to make that an advantage for me, that I'm going to do it better than him. I'm going to cut weight better than him, and I'm going to rehydrate better than him, and that is going to give me an advantage. That's where Dan Garner comes in. I have my meals from 12 weeks out. I have a full-time chef, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He sends and the snacks in between. He sends me meal plans from 12 weeks to 8 weeks, 8 weeks to 4 weeks, 4 weeks to fight camp, or 4 weeks to fight week to weigh in. So I'm eating literally perfect. We do blood work. The amount of blood work he does on me is pretty insane. I'll go into the lab corp or whatever, and they'll be like, holy shit, like you're getting a lot of blood tested today. So he's testing blood samples. He's testing shit. I shit in a box, send it in. They do what they do with that. Saliva, piss. We've done hair. Wow. We've done all these different analyses of my blood work, just of my body in general. And Dan's constantly learning the newest science, because it's never ending. He reads papers, literature all day. The dude is an absolute genius and is obsessed with it and very passionate about it. He'll send me 45-minute videos breaking down why I need this supplement. So I'm taking all these supplements, third-party tested, of course, Michael Bisping. And so I'm taking all these different supplements, eating these different foods for these very, very specific reasons. So my weight's coming down very naturally. And then, certain days out, we cut carbs, then we cut salt. I mean, that's all pretty normal stuff, but he has it down to an absolute science. And then the rehydration, there's dudes that eat pizza after weigh-ins. There's dudes that eat pancakes. There's dudes that are sucking on maple syrup. So, I mean, I feel like if there's going to be cutting weight, I want to be able to use that towards my advantage and do it better than anyone else.
Yeah, no, without question. And it seems like you're so dedicated. This is the side of things that people don't necessarily see. You put yourself on social media and you're messing around a little bit and you're being hilarious. But what you're going through there is meticulous. I mean, that is insane. But just real quick, what do you eat after you've weighed in and you've got a guy like this? What type of foods are you eating?
Can't give away all the secrets, but it's very
little micro meals, lots of them. Because I just gorged. Yeah,
exactly. You don't want to overeat, and you want to eat stuff that your body's very familiar with, knows how to digest. Obviously, a big part of it is the liquids, rehydrating, especially because we're not allowed to do IVs. We got to hydrate. I actually I got into cutting weight and stuff after the whole IV thing. So I've never rehydrated with an IV. So I never even knew the difference between that. But rehydrating with the liquids, eating a small amount, every few hours rather than, stuffing your tits. But that takes a lot of discipline.
When I started, you could use the IVs. And then, of course, that changed halfway through. And with the IVs, it was so easy. You would just strap yourself in, right? Go back to your hotel room, because you know what it's like. You're exhausted. Fall asleep and you take a little nap, for like an hour, and you wake up and you're back to normal. You feel $1 million. And then they got rid of the IVs because it could be a way of people mask inducing and stuff like that. And then it just became an absolute pain in the ass. With all the meticulous blood work and the testing that they're doing, they're looking at so many different things. And of course, it's no secret you smoke a lot of weed. Do they find anything in there that they advise against, or is it, there's no issues with what they're finding? I'm genuinely curious. I'm not passing judgment or anything like that. I'm no saint. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, to be honest, this camp I've probably smoked 3 times in the last 12 weeks. And if I do smoke, it'll be a vaporizer out of a volcano. So there's very low temperature. But this camp, I've never felt like I was addicted to marijuana or weed. I literally sometimes I just don't. I've barely been smoking at all this camp. So he's never said anything referencing that. I'm very open to with him, like, hey, I did this, I did that. For when I do certain blood works, like he'll ask me all those questions, and I tell him, but he's never said anything how it's affected me negatively.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you got to live your life to a certain degree as well, and what makes you happy, So, congrats on everything, Sean. I mean, so finally, UFC Sphere, the fight's going down in the future. 306. What's the date?
September 14th. 24 days.
Sean
22
O'Malley
days.
show at the Sphere. Yep. How does this one end?
It's either going to end like Aljo fight or the Cheeto fight. I'm going to knock him out early, or I'm going to piece him up for 5 rounds. One of those 2 ways I'd be very happy with. I love knockouts. I love putting people's lights out cold. Yeah. That is always the goal. But again, I'm always prepared for a 25-minute war, and you got to be prepared for a 25-minute war against someone like Merab, who's going to be constantly shooting and constantly on the gas pedal. So that's what we're preparing for.
Yeah, and I can't wait for it. Just last one, it just popped in my mind. Sean, the success you've had is unbelievable. You make a lot of money. You're a very, very famous guy, but there's never any controversy with you. You never seen. No, but there's never any, you got into this, you got into a fight, you were falling out of a nightclub, there's never anything like that surrounds you, or maybe I'm just not looking on the right websites or whatever. How do you stay out and avoid any kind of conflict in that regard?
Give it 5 years and then ask me that. No, so far so good. We're right now the goal is to be the greatest fighter of all time, at least for my era. So I always have to remind myself that and just kind of stay on the right path, because it's not easy. It is not easy when there's, so much opportunity to go and do so many different things. But for me, it's like, let's just book a fight. Let's get in. When I'm in fight camp, nothing else. I don't give a about anything else. Like, I don't want to go and see this guy. I don't want to go hang out with I don't give a about anything else except for that fight, that date. So for me, it's like, let's just keep booking fights. Let's stay active. And I want to be the greatest fighter of all time. And so that's where my head's at. And I'm just trying to, stay there for as long as possible. 29 years old. I think, if I keep eating right, sleeping right, and doing this, I could fight till I'm 35, 36. So we still got a couple years. And that shit goes really fast. I'm noticing that. I have a 4-year-old daughter almost. She's, will be 4 in November. So I'm like, those 3 years go like that. And I got to remember that for my career, because there's going to be a time where I can't fight, and it's going to be, a hard pill to swallow. And I got to make sure I don't have any regrets.
Very, very well said. And that's a great place to end. Sean, thank you for your time. Good luck in the fight. Big fan. You take care. Have a great day.
You're the man. Peace, Bisping. Peace, boys.
Take care, Sean.